Namaste and welcome back to the JavaScript series. In the last class, we were discussing loops, and to understand loops better, we were solving a type of questions called as pattern programs, similar to these kind of patterns that you see around me, right? Now, this is a continuation of the previous class. So if anybody is tuning into this video, I would highly recommend you to go back and watch the previous class so that there is continuity of concept. Those who have watched the previous one and are coming back, if you remember, in the previous class, we had created a pattern which looks something like this, right? So if I were to just execute this and show you, this is a very simple square pattern, right? I hope you're able to see. This is a square pattern that we have created. Now, what I essentially want to be saying here is that now I want to create a variation of this. What is a variation of this that you want to create, if you ask me? That variation looks something like this. This is what it looks like. You can see it looks like a square itself, but it is hollow inside. We can call this as a hollow square. And of course, if I were to put the grid for you, and if I show you, yes, we have first row, second row, third row, fourth row, fifth row. Most certainly we have columns, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. And all of you know, row is handled by I in our program, column is handled by J. Understood? Now, how can we create this is a larger question. So if you look at it, right, and now if I were to just bring up my editor, you can clearly see this pattern which I have in front of me, right? If this pattern should become this pattern, then one thing is everywhere star should not be there. Everywhere stars should not be there. Stars are only on the borders. Whereas here, what is there if you ask me? Please don't say nothing is there. You must say there are spaces. Which means in the pattern which we previously created, we had all stars. Everywhere we had stars. But here, in a row, in certain places stars are there, like here and here. In other places, spaces are there. Which means now you can't just mechanically say that every time you please just place stars like this. That will not work out. Certain places there should be stars, certain places there should be spaces. So what do we do? How do we do it? Very simple. The technique to solve this is, let me just remove this for the time being. See, we need to find a condition in a particular row. Or let's just try to find out where stars are there. If we can find out where stars are there, in other places, naturally spaces will come. Now, how do you find it out? Watch it. One thing I'll do is, I'll look at the first row. Because I have rows and columns, I'm starting with the first row. In first row, I have stars everywhere. So what I can do is, I can just go and make a note of this and say, see, if, right, my row is 1. If my row is 1, then I can print stars, right? Similarly, if row is 2, I can't say print stars because everywhere stars are not there. Similarly, if row is 3 also, everywhere stars are not there. Similarly, if row is 4 also, everywhere stars are not there. But if row is 5, I have stars everywhere. So I'll go and say, this is not the only condition where I should be printing stars. I have one more condition, or I will say row is 5. If row is 5 also, I can be printing stars. Understood what I'm trying to say? Amazing. Next what? Next what means, but I also have columns. Now if I look at it in terms of columns, clearly I can see if the column is the first column, everywhere stars are there. But I can't say the same about second, I can't say the same about third, I cannot say the same about fourth. But if it is the fifth column, I have stars everywhere. Right? So clearly you can see 2 columns, I'm sure stars must be there everywhere. One is the first column, other is the fifth column. So I'll go here and say there is one more condition, which is or column can be 1, or one more condition is column can be 5. I hope you're able to understand. And if any of these 4 conditions are satisfied, I will go and mechanically I will be just printing stars. Understood? Otherwise means what? Otherwise, if row is not 1, row is not 5, column is not 1, column is not 5, then I am somewhere in this region. Yes, common sense. If I'm anywhere in this region, what should I be printing? Spaces. So I will just go here and say, otherwise, just go here and I should be printing a space. Hope you understand. So this is logic, correct? And those of you who have been listening to my control statements class and you've come here, I've already introduced you to how your program can take different pathways. Yes, I've introduced you to a concept called as if statement, if-else statement, if-else statement, switch statement, right? So we will be making use of if-else because if condition is satisfied, do something. Otherwise, else, do something. I hope you will understand. Now, whatever I showed you, how am I going to implement it? Try to understand. What I will just go here and do is, I'll be like, hey, listen, the concept is same only. I should be attaching something to the row. But now the thing is, every time I should not be attaching a star to the row. Sometimes I should be attaching star, sometimes I should be attaching space. That completely depends upon whether it is the appropriate row or column. So see what I will do. I'll just cut this statement and I will go here and I will make use of if and I will make use of else, right? If my condition is satisfied, I will attach star to the row. If my condition is not satisfied, I will not attach star, instead I will be attaching space to the row. That's it. Now what I will be doing here is I will go here and I'll write my 4 conditions. What are the 4 conditions? Row is 1, row is 5. Column is 1, column is 5. How do you say it? Very simple. See here, what is row? I. Check if I is equal to 1. I've already explained this equality operator to you in the previous classes. Or in JavaScript is 2 pipes like this, pipe characters, right? It's on top of your enter key, you would have seen. Next condition, I is 5, that is the last row. Or next condition, column is J 1, first column. Or the next condition, column is 5. I hope you're able to see. These are my 4 conditions. If any of these 4 conditions is true, all 4 need not be true. Even if any one is true, I know I am in somewhere in this boundary region, which gives me utmost confidence I should be printing star itself. But if none of these conditions are true, I'm very certain I'm not in the boundary, I'm in this middle region here, and hence I will be attaching space. So, row sometimes will have star attached to it, other times will have space attached to it, other time will have star attached to it, and correctly it forms like this. Understood what I'm trying to say? Now, will this work is the larger question. Let's try to look at this. So if I were to just try to execute this for your reference, I'll just clear the screen, and if I were to re-execute, you can see it is hollow. That's it. Am I clear till here? Amazing. Now, what I would like to do is, I would like to probably make the rows and columns larger so that it looks better for you. So that's very simple. I'll go here and change this n value. I'll make it as 8 maybe. Automatically, now you'll get 8 cross 8, correct? But think and answer, do you think I'll get my pattern? Let's see. If I go clear the screen now, and if I were to execute, now I didn't get my pattern. What is the reason? Reason is because programming is basically, it'll work the way you ask it to work. What you said it will do. What did you say? If row is 1, print star. Very good. Row is 1, it printed stars. Or if row is 5, print stars. Very good. If row is 5, it printed stars. If column is 1, print stars. Amazing. If column is 5, print stars. But in this program, first row is 1. Great. But last row is not 5. Last row is 8. First column is 1. Agreed. But last column is not 5. Last column should be 8. Which means now I should be going here and changing these values from 5 and 5 to 8 and 8. But again, if I do it, if I make this as 10, again my code will break. Which means if you use a little bit of common sense, you'll realize whatever is n value, that is only your last row and last column. Think about it. If n is 5, last row is 5, last column is 5, because this is an n cross n matrix, right? So all I will do is, instead of telling 5, I'll make this as n, whatever is n value. Instead of telling 5, I'll make this also as n. That's it. Now if in case I were to do it, and if I were to go, clear the screen, re-execute, you can see it works perfectly. Understood what I'm trying to say? That's about it, friends. It's very easy. I hope you understand. Now let us assume you want it like this: 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 9, or whatever, 8, 8, 8, like that. Very simple. What is that? Rows value. What is rows value? I. So I will just go here and make one small change. Instead of this star, I'll replace it with I. And if in case I were to do this, clear the screen, and if I were to execute, you can see it works like this. So if this if else was not there, everywhere you would have got numbers. Because if else is there, certain places numbers came, other places space came. That's it. Understood what I'm trying to say? Amazing. Now that this pattern is clear to you, let's solve a little bit more complicated pattern so that you get an understanding of what's possible. Now the next pattern that I'm going to solve may look very complicated, but if you understand the approach correctly, easily you will be able to do it, right? And what is the pattern? Let me show you. This is what it looks like, right? So because of all these stars, it may not look proper to you. So what I'll do is I'll draw some imaginary lines over it so that you can understand, right? Try to understand this. See, this is how the pattern looks like. You have your borders, right? And then you have a line passing through the center like this. You have two diagonal lines, and you have four lines which passes like this. I hope you're able to see it. Am I clear? Now how do we create this sort of a pattern? But at least ignore the stars inside. You already know how to create these stars in the border and spaces in between. That you already know. Because if I were to just take you back to my editor here, you can see this is the code that we have written. And in this code, clearly you can see n value, I have made it as 11, because here you can clearly see it's 11 cross 11, right? And I'll just put that grid so that you can see it better. I'll just put this grid here. You can notice if I just put this grid, right? Now some of you will be like, no, it's only 10 rows and 10 columns. No, focus properly. Where does the value start from? 0. See, there are two ways to count, right? 0 to 10 is also 11. 1 to 11 is also 11 only. So it's two ways of counting. Usually in programming, they start count from 0, and there's a reason behind it. I will explain it sometime later, but I hope you understand. Now, I'll just remove this for the time being, and what you need to understand is, if I go here, now see, this piece of code, if I just execute it for your reference. 11 rows, every row has 11 columns, correct? And it's hollow. Now you must understand how we have written our code is, I've started the count from 1. So because I'm starting count from 1, I'm going up to 11. 1 to 11 is 11 rows. In every column, 1 to 11, because n is 11, I have 11 columns. But this easily you can write it like this also. Start i's count from 0. If you start from 0, you should not go up till n. You should stop 1 before n. So see, I'll remove the equal to. Now less than n means what? What is less than 11? 10. 0 to 10 is also 11. Similarly here also, I will start j from 0. I'll start j from 0, and instead of going less than equal to, I'll go to less than n. That is one more way to do it. But if I do this, and now if in case I were to go clear the screen and execute it, our pattern will not come correctly, because now think about it. In your condition, what did you say? Start from first row. First row. Is first row 1 now? No, first row is 0. Understood? Last row, is it n or n minus 1? Because now last row is 10, n is 11, so say minus 1. Similarly, j should start from 0. First column is 0. Similarly, last column is n minus 1. So it's just a simple difference, right? Now if I were to go clear the screen and if I were to re-execute it, it comes. So basically it is both the same. I hope you understood. You can start from 0, you can start from 1, but conditions also accordingly have to change. Wonderful. Now that you guys understood this, what I would like to basically do now is I will go back to this, and here what I want all of you to understand is I am going to now basically start with the first. I want this line. This everybody knows, already know the condition. First row is I equal to 0. I'll take this condition and I'll put it inside this condition box, because we're going to have many conditions. Next, what if I want this line? Everybody knows what this line is. This is the first column, and if count starts from 0, it is nothing but j equal to 0. I'll put this also inside my condition box. Next, what if I want this line? This is very simple, last row. And what is last row? Last row is very simple. Last row in this case is I equal to 10, but that is nothing but the total number of rows minus 1. And you know, the total number of rows we have is inside a variable called as n. N is 11, so this is n minus 1 or 11 minus 1, and that also I'll just keep it here. Next, this line, last column. Again, same thing, j equal to 10. But how do you get 10? Number of rows minus 1, which is nothing but n minus 1. I'll put it here. I just showed this to you. Now I will go to this line. Very interesting. Look at this line. What is this? J is 5. J equal to 5. But I don't want to write 5 because 5 value holds true only if the number of columns is 11 and I'm starting count from 0 to 11. But if I change n value to 15 also it should work. If I change value to 18 also it should work. So it should work in general. Now how will I make it work in general? Now if you look at it, you have to write this condition in a general format. Now how will you get this? Look at this. N is 11. I want 5. How can I get 5 from 11? Now let's use a little bit of mathematics. If I divide 11 by 2, quotient is going to be 5, remainder is going to be 1. Right? And what is this 11? 11 is nothing but n value. So to find the center point in terms of the column, one easy way to do it is take the n value, divide it by 2 and take the quotient. Understood what I'm trying to say? So that only I will just now write it here as n divided by 2. Hope you understand. Now I want to show this to you. This is really interesting. Watch this carefully. Now if in case I were to go back to my editor. Now in the editor, I want everybody to observe what I'm typing very, very carefully. I will go here and now add one more condition. And that condition is, I will say, j should be equal to n divided by 2. Like this. Am I clear? But now you may expect the output to come. That is, you would expect that line to come. So if I were to go here and execute it, you can see that line did not come. It did not come. Why didn't it come? Now this is where you must understand something about how JavaScript works, right? First of all, I would like to just go and print the output of what is n divided by 2 in JavaScript. So see what I'll do is, before this for loop, I'll just go and say console.log, and here I'll just say n divided by 2. Ideally, you expect the output to be 5, correct? But if I were to go here and I were to execute it, JavaScript is giving me the output as 5.5, not 5. Correct? Ideally, its answer is 5.5 only. Now, please try to understand, I don't want this 0.5. I want it to round it to 5. Now, there are two ways to do rounding. One is towards the higher value, one is towards the lower value. You can round it to 6, you can round it to 5. Rounding it to the smaller value or the left side is called as floor. On the right side, higher value is called as ceil. We have floor division, we have ceil division. Understood? So now, if you just do n divided by 5, you will get 5.5, and there is no value of j which matches 5.5. That is why the line didn't come. But if the output was 5, line would have come. So how do you do it? How you do it is, watch it, very simple. You want JavaScript to do floor division? I'll take this n divided by 2 and I will put it inside something called as math.floor like this. Name only tells, do floor division. Understood what I'm trying to say? And it returns the greatest integer less than or equal to its numeric argument. Forget about it. Point is, now if in case I were to just go here, clear the screen, and if I execute it, now you can see the output is 5. So what I'm trying to say is, do not just say n divided by 2. Instead, you should now say math.floor of n divided by 2. Understood what I'm trying to say? If you make this one simple change, now let me remove this line, not required. Now if I were to go and execute it, clearly you can see you got this line. Understood how I'm solving it? Amazing. So now I will again go back to this, and here now what I essentially want is, we got this condition, I'll keep it here, but we have to do floor division, remember that. Next, I want this line. What is this line? This is I equal to 5. How will you get I equal to 5? Same story only, floor division of n divided by 2. Same thing only, I'll keep it here. Am I clear? And this one thing is what I want to show you. So if I were to just go here and see, I'll press enter here because otherwise it'll go out of the screen. And here I will add one more condition, or, and I will say I is equal to same thing, math.floor of n divided by 2, otherwise I'll get 5.5. right? And now if in case I were to just bring my terminal here in front of you, and if I were to clear the screen and re-execute it, you can see you got these two lines. So this is how you have to think. Now I want to create these two diagonals. How are we going to create the diagonals? Observe this. So here, again, let's go back to our expected output. And here what I'm now going to do is I want this line. How do you get this line? Very simple. So follow these stars along this line. How do I get this star? Look at the position of this star. It is the 0th row in that 0th column. I'm marking it. Look at the next row. It is the first row in that first column. Similarly, look at this next star, second row in that second column. Look at the next star, row is 3, column is 3. Row is 4, column is 4. 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10. Which means there is something unique about the positioning of these stars, which is the row's value and the column's value will be the same. And that is exactly my condition, boss. I will say whenever I value is equal to the j value, then you print stars, I'll get this diagonal. I'll keep this condition also, and let me just quickly go and show this output to you. So if I were to go here, I'll go here and I'll say or one more condition, I double equal to j. Now if I were to go here and execute the code, you can see you got this. Am I clear? Now I want the opposite diagonal. How are we going to do this? Observe this carefully, right? So here again, the next thing that I would require looks something like this. This one. Again, try to find I value and j value. I is 0, j is 10. I is 1, j is 9. Similarly, 2, 8. Similarly, 3, 7. Like that. I hope you're able to see. Now what I'll do is, I'll write my I values here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm not writing all of them, but you know, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that, okay? And I'm writing my j values here. J value is 10, then 9, then 8, then 7, then 6, like that. Now, what I need to see is, if I perform some operation between them, I'll get a common value if you observe. What is the operation? 0 plus 10 is 10. 1 plus 9 is 10, 2 plus 8 is 10, same is the case with 7 plus 3, 4 plus 6, 5 plus 5. So don't you think all of them are equal to 10? Now wonderful. Now the thing is, we know this is I value, all these are I values, all these are j values. Now this 10 that I just showed you, what is this 10? What is the total number of rows that I have? 11. From 11, how do I get 10? Very simple, subtract 1, n minus 1. These are your I values, these are your j values. So whenever I plus j is equal to n minus 1, you know you will get these stars. Correct? And that is my next condition. I will be taking this condition and I will be storing it inside the condition box. And now if in case I were to go to my editor and make this tiny change, you can see it, right? So I'll go here and I will say, or I have one more condition. You please add I with j and check if it is equal to n minus 1. And if in case I were to do this, and if in case I were to go and just compile and execute this code, you can notice now you got this diagonal. I hope you understood how logically I'm building it up, right? Great. This is also clear to us, Rohit. What next? What next if you ask me? Let us go and look at the next diagonal or the next line, which is something like this. How do you get this line? Again, look at the I and j values. I is 0, j is 5. Next, look at this star. I is 1, j is 4. Correct? Look at the next star. I is 2, j is 3. So on and so forth. Did you get the picture? So I'm just marking everything for you and showing. Clear? Now I'll just list it down. So these are my I values. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are my corresponding j values. Again, if I do some operation between them, I'll get a common value. Obviously, you can see if I do addition, the resultant is always 5. How do you get this 5? You already know how to get 5. For this line you have calculated 5, for this line you have calculated 5. How did you get 5 here? You did n divided by 2, but floor version, math.floor, right? Same thing, n divided by 2. This is nothing but I value, this is nothing but j value, correct? If I were to just generalize it, it is I plus j equal to n divided by 2, and that is the next condition I will be storing, right? All of you must observe. Now let me just go back to my editor, and here now I will quickly go and add the next condition. Again I'll press enter so that there is no overlap, and here I will say very simple, I plus j should be equal to, and I'll just copy this, math.floor of n divided by 2, and I will paste the same thing here. Is this much clear to you? Now, will this give me the output is the larger question. If I go and execute it, you can see you have got this line. I don't know if you're able to see it correctly. You've got this line. Clear till here? Amazing. Next, let us look at the next line. So here now, what is the next line that we have? The next line that we have is this. I think everybody got the approach. Look at the I and j values, 5 and 0, next 6 and 1, next 7 and 2, next 8 and 3, similarly next 9 and 4, similarly next 10 and 5. I'll just list it down. These are my I values, these are my j values. What is the operation if you perform between both? You'll get a common value. Simple. If I subtract, I will always be getting 5. You know how to get 5, n divided by 2. These are my I values, these are my j values. I minus j equal to n divided by 2. That's it. I think you're getting the flow. And if you're getting confused anywhere, please go back a few moments in the video and I'm sure you will understand. Okay, I'll keep this also here. Okay, awesome. Now let's quickly go and add this as well. So let me just go here and I will add one more condition, which is I minus j should be equal to, again, math.floor of n divided by 2. Now I'll just remove this here so that you can see the output more correctly. I'll just go, and if I execute it, you can clearly see which is the line that we got. You can see this line. You saw this line? Understood? So what I can do is I can always make the n value a little bigger. Let's make the n value as, say, for example, 16, so that it becomes a little more bigger and you can see it. I think now it is clear to you. We got this line, we got this line. What is left out is this line and this line. That's it. You see the pattern come up clearly? Okay, fine. Now if I were to go back and if I were to show you, what I want to show here is the next line. Okay, what is the last two lines? That is this. Same thing, mark I and j values. I is 5, j is 10. Similarly, 6 and 9, 7 and 8, 8 and 7, 9 and 6, 10 and 5. Right? I'll write down my I values, I'll write down my j values. Now, clearly you can see if you do subtraction operation between them, you'll get a common value. Right? But if I do 5 minus 10, I'll get minus 5. If I do 6 minus 9, I'll get minus 5. So the suggestion rather would be, sorry, not subtraction, my mistake. You should be adding it. 5 plus 10 is 15, 6 plus 9 is 15, 7 plus 8 is 15. I hope you're able to understand. You have to add it. So if I just add it here, right, then clearly you can see if I add everything, I'll be getting 15. Now this is I value, this is j value. But what is this 15? I don't know how to achieve 15. You don't know how to achieve 15? Very good. Split 15 into two values. Don't you think I can write 15 as 10 plus 5? If I write it as 10 plus 5, don't you think you know how to get 10? What is 10? N is 11, n minus 1 is only 10. Don't you think you know how to get 5? N divided by 2, but the floor division. That's it. So I'll just replace this with n minus 1, I'll replace this with n divided by 2, that's it. This is I value, this is j value, and I plus j is equal to n minus 1 plus n divided by 2, and that, my friend, is all you need. Is this much clear to everyone? Awesome. If this is clear, then what I want to essentially do now is, let me remove this, bring up my editor, and in my editor now, I'll just go and I'll add this condition, okay? So see, again I'm pressing enter so that we have no overlap, and I'll say I plus j equal to, first I wanted 10. How do you get 10? 10 is very simple, it is nothing but n minus 1. I'll put this within parenthesis. This I will add it with 5. How do you get 5? 5 was nothing but this math.floor. Correct? If I were to do this, let me remove this so that you can see the output a little more clearly. 100% I'm sure everybody sitting here can observe that you have now got this line. last and final line. Okay, great. Observe the last and final line. So here what I essentially now need is this line. Again, let's mark the j values 0, 5, 1, 6, 2, 7, 3, 8, 4, 9 and 5, 10. I'll just write these down. Okay. Now, if you notice carefully, here what is the operation which will common value? Subtraction. So, but if I do 0 minus 5, I'll get minus 5. 1 minus 6, I will get minus 5. 2 minus 7, I will get minus 5. But I don't want negative value. So what I'll do is, instead of subtracting I with j, I'll subtract j with I. That's it. Now I will get a positive value only. Now everybody knows how to get 5, n divided by 2. What is this 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, j value? What is the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I value? Over. That's it. J minus I equal to n divided by 2. But obviously in JavaScript we will be doing floor division. Correct? Now let me just take you to the editor, and in the editor I will just go now and add my last and final condition, which is j minus I should be equal to math.floor of n divided by 2. Okay. Let's look at the output now and see if the last and final line has come. Definitely, see, this line, this line, this line, this line. I hope you enjoyed this. Like this, you will have to solve n number of logical questions to build your logic. If you don't build your logic, you cannot crack the coding round in every interview. And yes, by just knowing pattern programming, in today's day and age, I don't think anybody can become a developer or crack a job interview, right? But it is a great start to start building your logic, to understand looping, to understand if-else. I hope all of you enjoyed this class. Now let's move forward and explore the other topics in JavaScript.